The Beatles Anthology was first issued in 1995 as an expansive project spanning vinyl, CD, DVD box sets, and a hardbound book. Its release came a quarter-century after the band had officially split, and as revealed in interviews featured in the newly added Episode 9, that distance in time ultimately worked to its advantage. The surviving members explained that waiting allowed them to gain perspective. By then, following John Lennon's assassination in 1980, only 3 members remained, and they were in a far better emotional place to engage with one another. The bitterness that surrounded the band's breakup would have made such a collaboration nearly impossible earlier, and decades later, audiences were also more receptive to a reflective look back at the group's history. This latest edition of Anthology has been meticulously restored and remastered under the guidance of Peter Jackson, best known for The Lord of the Rings. Jackson was also responsible for transforming unused footage originally shot in 1969 for the Let It Be film into the 2021 documentary Get Back. Now, 30 years after the first retrospective, Anthology returns with greater depth and significantly improved visual quality. Included as well is the aforementioned new episode, which functions as a behind-the-scenes exploration of how the 1995 anthology was made and has since taken on historical significance in its own right. For Filipino audiences, particular attention is drawn to the 10 minutes devoted to the band's 1966 Manila tour stop. That visit has long been remembered, more infamously than fondly, for the turmoil that followed the group from arrival to departure, most notably due to a major scheduling misunderstanding involving Imelda Marcos, who was the First Lady of the Philippines at the time. To say the band was unhappy with how they were treated barely captures the situation. The segment, once used to open Episode 6, has now been moved to the conclusion of Episode 5. It still begins with Ringo Starr declaring, "I hated the Philippines," before descending further into tension. Footage shown near the end of the Philippines section depicts records being burned, creating the impression that these events took place in Manila. In part because of this portrayal, I felt compelled to document my own account of the Beatles' 48 hours in Manila in my book You Won't See Me, When the Beatles Ghosted Imelda. While the book acknowledges the established narrative, it also brings forward numerous previously unheard perspectives, offering a more nuanced understanding of what truly occurred during the band's visit and the reasons behind it. Contrary to popular belief, fans were not hostile, quite the opposite. Even after the band's perceived snub of the First Lady, many fans and members of the older generation continued to support the Beatles, challenging the idea that they were confronted by an uncontrollable crowd. Ultimately, the Philippine tour marked a critical turning point in the band's career. It took place 2 years after their rise to worldwide fame. Following the release of Love Me Do in 1962, they dominated the UK charts the next year with multiple number 1 hits, including She Loves You and I Want to Hold Your Hand. Their arrival in New York coincided with a nation still mourning the assassination of JFK. The band's upbeat presence at their press conference and their performance on The Ed Sullivan Show, viewed by more than 70 million people, provided a sense of optimism America sorely needed at the time. Their relationship with the U.S. is explored in Jonathan Gould's book Can't Buy Me Love. Over the course of their career, the Beatles achieved 17 number 1 singles, later collected on the compilation album One. Anthology remains a compelling and rewarding watch. However, it also highlights a broader issue in how the Beatles' story has been preserved. Too often, the official version is accepted without scrutiny. There are now so many books about the band that even the literature surrounding them has become its own subject, as examined in The Beatles and the Historians by Erin Torkelson Weber. She argues, and I agree, that what makes Anthology an invaluable account of the band's history is also the source of many of its weaknesses. As an official narrative, it lessens its status as a truthful account, largely because it excludes opposing viewpoints and cannot be independently verified. Even so, Filipino fans who witnessed the Beatles during that era continue to hope for one thing above all else: a return visit from the two surviving members. With 2026 marking the 60th anniversary of the band's visit, could it finally happen? Many in the Philippines would truly love to see that dream realized.